So the first symbiotic relationship is what? No kidding. Is what? Thank you. It should come like so easy to you. Predation, which means what? Predator-prey, where one is actively hunting and the other one is being hunted, right? It's symbiotic. Why? If I was to ask you why is predator-prey a symbiotic relationship, what would you say? Because the prey is the source of, so the predator relies on the prey as its source of food. There's another reason. Who could give me the other reason? Good job. So really the prey relies, I mean, that's sad to say, but the prey's population, it relies on the predator to maintain its population. Good. The second type of symbiosis is mutualism. What happens in this relationship? Both organisms benefit. Explain to me how pollination is a mutualistic relationship.
The bee gets energy from the flower, while the flower benefits because its pollen can be spread to other plants, which it can't do by itself.
Awesome. I would put a little star in my notes. Whenever I'm going to describe a symbiotic relationship, I must reference both organisms. So if it's mutualism, you're going to say this organism benefits because, and this organism benefits because. Yes? If it's predator and prey, you're going to say this organism benefits because it gets food from this organism. This organism gets harmed because it literally gets eaten, right? Yeah. Okay. Commensalism. Nothing to uncover here, but you want to know that one organism benefits and the other is indifferent. It's not harmed and it doesn't get anything from it, okay? So who could tell me how the shark and remora, or describe commensalism using the shark and the remora?
The remora eats the bacteria off the shark or something off the shark.
If the remora was eating the bacteria off the shark, then this would be a mutualistic relationship, right? Yes.
The remora eats the scraps that the shark leaves left after eating.
Good. The remora feeds off the scraps. If the remora feeds off the scraps, what kind of feeder is a remora? Not really. It's like a detrivore. Okay, it's feeding off remains. Yes, kind of like a detrivore, kind of like a scavenger, right? What's another benefit that the remora has? Protection. So the remora receives protection by staying with the shark, and the shark probably has no idea the remora is even there. It for real, probably doesn't. Who's seen this epiphyte, a plant growing out on the top of a tree? So epiphytes, I want you to add here, are air plants. So they don't have roots. They don't get nutrients from the soil. Who do you think benefits there, the epiphyte or the tree? How? They have a home. Good. Epiphytes benefit by living on a tree because it provides them habitat. And the tree is indifferent because the epiphyte is not causing it harm or benefiting in any capacity.
Not to confuse anybody, but isn't the epiphyte blocking some of the nutrients?
No. So then it wouldn't be commensalism, right? Because the tree is indifferent. So the epiphyte actually gets water from the tree that trickles down the tree, which the tree is not using anyway. Does that make sense? So another reason why an epiphyte is commensalism. I apologize. All right, parasites. What happens here? One benefits, the other gets negative. One gets harmed, okay? Because you can't say doesn't. You want to say, what does it get? Does it get something or nothing or something bad? Now, what other relationship one benefits, the other gets harmed? Predation. So now, new question. Compare and contrast predation and parasitism. Moving to the center of the room. How do we do that? Compare and contrast predation and parasitism. How do we compare them? Let's start with that. If I was taking my test, I would write the word compare and I would write the word contrast. Or I would immediately draw a Venn diagram. I would put the word compare in the middle and contrast on the side, and I would put the word Predation, parasite. So I know I'm talking about both.
Do parasites find like a habitat in the organism or harming?
Good. Parasites require a host or live directly on the host. So this would be a different, not a comparison. And predation just actively hunts its prey. It doesn't necessarily live with it, right? What else can you say? What's a comparison? They're both what? They're both harming an organism. They're both symbiotic. Yes? They both benefit from the relationship, or one organism benefits, the other gets harmed. What's another difference? Any idea? If a parasite requires a host to benefit,
can it die off when the host is like dying, or they'll jump to another?
so they generally don't want to kill their host, right? So a lot of times parasite keeps their host alive, where predation actively hunts and kills its prey, right? That's the goal, to feed off the prey. Good.
How about
You know that oh no. One benefits, the other one gets harmed. Both benefit. What do you think can happen? Next.
both die?
That would be not really a relationship, but
Both get armed.
that wouldn't really be a relationship either, right?
They're
Unaffected. Neutralism, which a lot of scientists believe is really not even real. So why would we call this pelican and cormorants, or however you say that other bird's name, symbiotic or neutralism?
Nothing really happens.
Good. They live closely together, which is part of the definition of symbiosis. They don't get anything from it, but you always find one near the other. In commensalism, one gets nothing, and the other one actually causes harm. So the one that gets nothing causes harm to its neighboring, which the black walnut, for example, just secretes a chemical to kill other plants near it for no benefit at all. It's like, I just want to do this. Another example of commensalism that's popular on the AP exam is algae bloom. Who's heard of this word?
Yeah.
From where?
Algae bloom? When I was doing the phosphorus.
Good. So nitrogen and phosphorus, you don't have to know this on this test yet, okay? I'm going to introduce it because this is all over the AP exam. You do know that nitrogen and phosphorus are high in fertilizer. You know that it runs off and it ends up in a body of water because plants can't take it in fast enough. It's in excess in the soil, right? So it runs off. When it runs off, it causes an algae bloom. So what happens in an algae bloom, and why it's commensalism, is algae is kind of almost like an invasive species. It doesn't belong there, and it's taking up other organisms' habitat, other organisms' nutrients, but it really is getting nothing out of being there. Does that make sense? That's why it's commensalism. Okay, your question. What relationship is this? Which is what you guys were saying. Technically, both get harmed. Competition, good. Why do we compete, people?
To
What? But to survive? No, we compete for a reason. So I want to survive all the time, and I'm not competing. For resources. We have limits in our environment, like food, other organisms to mate with, air, shelter, right? And that leads to competition. There's two types of competition: intra-specific competition and inter-specific competition. What's the difference? Good. So we're going to highlight this A, and we're going to highlight the and then we're going to draw an arrow, and we're going to say intra is the same, right? A for intra, A for same. And we're going to underline the A. And inter is for what? Different. And I'm just going to go with differ because it's shorter. And I'm going to underline the I hope you remember that.
Thank you for that analogy.
Okay, I have two amazing